In the not too distant future, Earth is in peril, so we are sending people into space aboard a tiny rocket ship. They can take with them 7 books. The first 5 are their favourites. The 6th is one they hate so much they get thrown into space to consign it to obscurity forever. And the 7th is the book they would commit to the canon, for which humanity will be remembered. Co-produced by Bookmark London and Morocco Bound Bookshop and hosted by me, Adam R.W. This is Rocket Ship Reads. My guest today is a wonderful poet, writer, not a content queen. I'm not going to introduce you as a content queen.
God.
Incredible poet and writer, good friend of mine, friend of a friend originally, and it's delightful to have her here with us today. Maxine Meixner, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. So Maxine, first question to begin before we get into your choices and the quick-fire book questions. How do you describe who you are and what you do?
Oh, you're asking. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realise I was going to be asked that question, even though I think you did put it on the document, but I skipped the first one.
Yeah, it's quite it's an existential
Describe
question.
who I am and what I do. Okay, well, I exist and I live and I try have fun and I try play, explore, learn. I write things, I perform poems and breathe air. I've got the, do you remember iCarly? You know, when they're like, live life, breathe air in the theme song?
I don't know.
That's all I've got that's all I've got bouncing around my brain right now. It's just not a very good start.
I like it. That's
I write things and I perform them and I live life.
Yeah, that's a nice way to define yourself, I think. That feels quite comprehensive.
Yes.
Quite holistic.
All encompassing.
Yeah.
I'm also confused as to why I'm on a rocket ship. Do we ever get to answer that question?
Basically, we're expanding the premise as we go and defining the concept of the show. Other guests have introduced aspects or questioned aspects of it. Basically, Earth might be in a bit of trouble. So I've somehow, in this kind of hypothetical scenario, given myself the power to send various people into space. Very small rocket ships.
Yeah.
Technology is limited. So all you have space for is 7 books. And one of those you have to throw away. We're still sketching out what food is available to you.
Okay.
I think it's capsules.
That's very important to me. I get hangry quite easily.
Yeah, I think you're going to be quite hangry aboard this rocket ship, I'm afraid. I think there's basically you're going to get pellets or capsules. You're not really going to have proper food.
Shit.
So
can I get off?
Yeah, you can. That's it. We're done. That's fair. We're developing it as we go.
Okay. I'm excited to develop it.
Yeah. I think we had a guest a few weeks ago who basically pondered why Wandsworth had survived. This is the launch pad, the Wandsworth Morocco Bound. I was unable to answer that question satisfactorily, but we've just got to go with it.
Yeah. It's like the first rule of improv. Oh, I've got a background as a theatre kid.
We should use that in your definition.
Yeah.
Poet, writer, content queen, former theatre
Let's
kid.
leave the content queen bit out.
We'll leave the content queen.
Yeah, it's like the first rule of improv is yes and.
Yeah.
And.
No, we're going to move to the next question. We're going to get through the introduction. So we kind of already covered this. How are you feeling about being on the rocket ship? Quite apprehensive?
I love my own space though, so I think I'd be thrilled to have like a bit of time to myself before maybe a little bit of inevitable loneliness sets in. Probably taking in the view, probably quite confused as to why imposter syndrome, I think. Why am I in this rocket ship?
Yeah.
Why do I get to take books with me?
Because you're a wonderful writer and poet.
That's very kind, but
You've written a poem about going into space as well.
Well, about Katy Perry going into space.
Oh, true.
Yeah, back when that cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, that was a good moment.
Yeah, it's such a shame. It was, it's probably one of my best. It's such a shame I could never perform it again.
It kind of taps into a very specific moment in time, doesn't it? That was about a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When Katy Perry went into space.
Yeah.
What were they trying to achieve by sending her to space? What was the point of that?
That's a great question.
Why did she get to
But I think it's just the whole concept of people being able to pay money to go to space now, or just randomly people being able to go to space.
Is that what so she paid?
Don't know. Maybe it was part of like a women going to space thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what your poem was about, wasn't it? Yeah.
Kind of. It was also just about the phenomenon of why the hell did Katy Perry go to space? And she took it very seriously as well.
Yeah. Interesting.
Enough about her.
Yeah, we've talked more about Katy Perry than I was expecting. I'm not on a podcast that's about books, ostensibly.
How often do you feel like a plastic bag? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, very bad. Oh my God. I don't know any of the other lyrics. If space, ignite, got to ignite.
You're a firework.
Yes, that's it. We can apply that to launching the rocket. You got to ignite. So which bit of a transition to the quickfire book questions.
Okay.
So before we get on to your choices, Maxine Meixner, we're going to rattle through our quickfire book questions, which on the first few episodes have not been quickfire, but they must be. They must be today. They have to.
They
be
must be
quickfire.
because I was late.
No, don't admit it. You're not late. You arrived exactly when you meant to.
Okay.
You're basically a wizard.
Gandalf.
You're a Gandalf.
I'm the Gandalf of the podcast.
I think you've learned that journey. I feel will be important for you. I think that could be a poem. Maybe it could be a very beautiful, important poem for humanity.
Yeah.
On the journey from the other bookshop to this bookshop. So I feel like it's all intentional. But on to the quickfire book questions. Maxine, who is the most overrated writer ever?
Dan Brown. Fucking hate the man because he just writes the same story over and over. Everything's the same. Okay. And there's always only a problem that his main character can solve. And there's always a woman who is very, very intelligent and very sexy and also seems to fancy this man and is used as an exposition dump. And it just gets dull. So I think Dan Brown's incredibly overrated. And I think he's one of the classic, like, she-breasted boobily kind of writers, you know, with women.
Yes. Yeah.
So I hate him.
Yeah.
So, but like, that's why I think he's overrated, because some of his books are like, they're readable, but the way also he writes, his language is very bad. Online, there is this piece of writing that mocks his writing style, and it's so fucking good. I love it. But yeah, I hate Dan Brown.
What is it, like a Dan Brown generator? Or
it's almost like he over-explains everything. He repeats things. It's overrated, you know. But
have you read quite a few of his books?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. So you wanted to go back for more after the first one?
Well, I was like 18 years old. It's the follies of youth, you know. And also it was when it was all, well, maybe a bit younger, but like when it was all the rage, when they were making all the movies with Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And Angels and Demons with Ewan McGregor. Okay, that slaps a little bit. The movie's really good.
So that's correctly rated, do you think? Or maybe underrated?
I've not given it too much thought, which maybe I should have before slating him on this podcast.
No, I think it's good.
But this is just, I was literally like, out of all the overrated books, I think Dan Brown is incredibly overrated. And his books are all the same. So like, you know, you can have a few good ones, but he recycles the same plot over and over. Like, fair enough, get that bag, sis, but also you're boring.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, I actually haven't read any of his books cover to cover, but the prose that I've read, it feels very basic. And a bit boring. But it's formulaic.
Formulaic.
Which, you know, I suppose there's a time and a place for that. But I like that. I think that's a very good call. So moving on to the next quickfire book question. You can see why these end up not being quickfire, because there's so much interesting stuff to talk about.
So much to learn.
The book you pretend to have read.
I'm a very honest person.
Yeah.
I've never pretended to not read a book, except for when I said I read Pride and Prejudice. It was on the reading list at uni, and I just never bothered. That's it, really.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
So you're not trying to get some sort of social cachet off the back of reading. You just had it on your reading list and didn't have time. Yeah. Have you read it since?
No.
You've never read it?
I find it a bit dull.
Yeah. Have you seen the film? Seen any of the films?
I've seen
the Keira Knightley one.
Keira Knightley one.
Right, that is
like the thing is, I want to enjoy the book, but like I find old-fashioned books a bit hard to read.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pride and Prejudice. I said I read it once, and I hadn't.
Yeah,
it was a lie.
Interesting. Who did you tell that lie to?
My class.
Right. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. I think that's acceptable.
I think so. But I've never done it. I don't think for social clout.
I think that's good, because that's kind of what this question is getting at. Of like, if you're among a circle of reading literary people, you're like, I can't admit to not having read, I don't know, Pride and Prejudice, Moby Dick.
I've not read Moby Dick.
Yeah, Moby Dick is a ridiculous book.
I've not read a lot of books.
I've been halfway through it for about 3 years. But the second chapter that's all about whale anatomy, that's kind of fucked me up.
Yeah.
It's too long. But he's obsessed with whales. He's literally obsessed with whales. And he cares about them.
I think you have to be to write a whole book
about
it's
mad. There's too much. So I am not even really pretending to have read that anymore. I'm like proud that I've not finished it.
Yeah.
It's on my
badge of honour.
Yeah, it's looking at me. But so we'll move on to the astral dinner, where you have a writer, alive or dead. You can bring them back from the dead, if you so choose, to join you on the rocket ship for a night. To have dinner with them. We'll provide you with some nice food. Who are you going to invite to have dinner with you?
Patti Smith, because I'm halfway through her biography and it's not on my list of books that I've taken. So I want to know more about her and her life, so she can come on board. She can tell me all about her life. I think we have a great conversation and then we could sing some songs and then she'd go. And I think that would boost my mood. Yeah. She seems like a nice, you know, I think she'd galvanize me a bit, and she'd be like, do it for Earth. So I feel like I'm going on a mission. I don't know why I'm in space, but I'm going to say it's because I'm being sent on a very important mission, and I've had to make sacrifices. And I feel like Patti Smith, we'd sing, sing songs, she'd tell me about her life, and then I'd carry on and go strong.
Yeah, I think that was a fantastic choice.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, you are on a mission, and Patti Smith will sing you on your way, fight you on your way. Yeah, fantastic choice. I like that a lot. So the final of the quickfire book questions is a literary comet. This is basically a scorched earth literary opinion that you can send back to Earth, that you're almost fearful of expressing while you're still on Earth, but you're going out into space. You're probably never going to come back. You can send back any opinion that you want, that people will judge you for, potentially hate you for. So what is your literary comment?
I feel like this is quite a common one, and that is that you can and you should judge a book by its cover, but also by its typeface, by its font. Some of these covers, you should judge them for it.
Yeah. Do you have a specific one in mind?
Well, it's literally the ones. Let's just have a look.
What do you think of this?
But no, I can't see. No, it's literally that type of book where it's just like feels very AI generated. It feels very like they've just thrown everything on it to see what sticks, kind of thing. And then the font as well. Like if I pick up a book and the font is all teeny tiny and cramped, I'm not going to waste my time trying to read. Like, why are you making it hard for me to read your book?
Yeah. Interesting.
So you asked for one. I've kind of given.
No, I quite like it. That's a good combination, I think. Do judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Is that how we would
and its font.
Do judge a book by its cover and font and its spacing.
Yeah.
The colour of the font. No,
judge a book by its cover, because it can tell you if you're going to enjoy it or not, I think. If you
How much do you think your enjoyment of a book is informed by its cover?
Oh, I love a beautiful cover.
Yeah.
I think it can really elevate your book experience. If you're reading a physical book, I think it's quite nice if you really chime with the cover. I hate movie covers. When they're making a film of a book and then they like release the book.
Completely agree.
Completely agree. Cancel those. I don't need
agree.
it. Yeah. And I actually found it was really hard at one point. I wanted to read, I haven't read it yet, Where the Crawdads Sing.
Oh, yeah.
I hadn't read it.
Yeah.
But the only version I could then find was one with with the movie cover on it. And I was like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
Like, it just is my bugbear.
I agree with that completely. Like, I wanted to buy, I don't know if you've read The Bookshop by Penelope Fitzgerald.
No.
One of my favourite books, amazing book. They made a film of it a few years ago, and I wanted to buy a copy of it for our friend Isabel, actually, for her birthday. I wanted to buy her a copy of it. The only copy I could find in any of the shops had the film, so I couldn't buy it.
I think that's a correct. I actually can't do it if it's got the film on it.
Yeah.
I really can't. So you have to try hunt around for like a second-hand copy, which is lovely. I love a second-hand book.
100%. World of Books, you use that website? Oh, what a great website. So I think that brings us on to your 5 choices, Maxine. The 5 books that you want to take into space. These are some of your favourite books that have made you as a person, that have formed you. They're going to bring you solace, comfort, joy, perhaps, as you sail further into space. So what is the first of your 5 choices, Maxine?
Thus, my 5 choices is Apocalypse by Tim Bowler, right? So this book holds a very special place in my heart, but I've only ever read it twice in my life. This is the first time I discovered it. I was around 10 or 11 years old, and my granddad had lung cancer. And it was around this time where he was like, oh, I'd like to build a relationship with you, my oldest grandchild. And so I'd go visit him, and what he'd do is we'd go to the library and I would pick out some books, and all I do really is in the evenings I'd then sit and read, because I'm an only child, so I did a lot of reading. And I remember reading this book when I was in Durban visiting my granddad. And it just broke my little child heart. Like, it destroyed me. It was just a beautiful, beautiful story of like love, coming of age, getting lost, all of that beautiful thing. I mean, it's like in his terrifying battle to survive and find out what has happened to his parents, Kit will face trials and dangers beyond anything he could have ever imagined. He will also encounter the one thing he never expects, love, which, gorgeous. And it ends with, like, no spoilers or anything, but it broke my heart. And the reason I love this book so much is I read this at 10, took it back to the library, completely forgot what it was called. Like the story and the feeling always stayed with me throughout. Like I'm reaching like 27, 28 now. Stay with me. But I could never, ever, ever remember what this elusive book was until one day I was like, I need to find out what this book is. Just did lots of good, because this wasn't like super popular, do you know what I mean? Like not many people know of it. And then, to cut a long story short, I eventually rediscovered it in my mid to late 20s and read it again. It broke my heart again, but also it was just also the joy of rediscovering the story, and the story that I had like vaguely in my mind all these years and almost forgot like it ever existed, and then I found it again. So I take this with me.
I think that's a lovely choice, and quite symbolic in terms of your relationship with your grandfather as well.
Because he passed away as well, so this was like a nice way to kind of remember that time where he would build a relationship with me, but I was just like a little 11-year-old socially awkward girl. So he'd take me to the library and I'd spend hours reading in his company, you know, and that's kind of when we weren't playing board games or anything. And then this story stayed with me, and then I found it again.
Yeah, that's really gorgeous. So what did you remember about it that helped you find it?
That there was the sea's involved. There was a storm. It was like stuck on an island, and I think I remembered it was something to do with an apocalypse. But it was quite hard. I mean, it won an award. Like it was.
It was a Carnegie Prize. Which is like the main.
It's like the main.
Prize,
when was it published? Like it was published 2004.
Okay.
But this was when also I was in South Africa at the time, so like I think it was extra special. You know, not many kids were reading it, I don't think.
That's a lovely choice. Tim Bolo I used to love as well. I've not read that one, but I read Shadows. You read that one?
I've never read any more.
And I think there's one called like River Boy or something like that.
There's River Boy and Shadows, other books by Tim Bolo. I got a signed copy as well when I found this online, because I was like, right, I have to find it, and I got a signed copy, and I was like, great. Fantastic.
Underrated. I think he might be quite underrated, because we're probably similar sort of age, like from when we were growing up, getting into reading. I feel like the big children's authors people would still talk about today, kind of Philip Pullman, Michael Morpurgo, probably a few other names that I won't be able to come up with. But Tim Bolo, really beautiful storyteller, quite dark. Like a couple of those two books that I remember, Shadows particularly, very dark. Very tough for kids to read some parts of it, but. Yeah, what a beautiful first choice.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, that's fantastic.
That's my first choice.
Has earned its place on the rocket ship. So Maxine, what is your second choice to take on the rocket?
I've gone through like a timeline thing, so I thought it was very helpful. So that was kind of when I was like 10 or 11, and now we're again shifting to maybe 15, like kind of teenage years. So I was very into like my fantasy era. And I read a lot of Trudy Canavan. Who I loved growing up, and then she released more books and they really fell off for me. So it was quite disappointing. That's happened to me happened to me with Philip Pullman as well, with his latest trilogy, which really fell off.
Book of Dust, is that
Book of Dust, and the last one, there was the Secret Commonwealth, and then Rosefield, I think really fell off. Anyway, that's not what this is about. But Trudy Canavan, she was
catching strays, Philip Pullman.
Love you, Philip Pullman. Love you, but
poor chap.
Anyway, so she has like 2 trilogies that I absolutely adore, and I've got this one. This is part of the Age of the Five trilogy, so it's a fantasy book. And I brought the second one because it's the prettiest cover.
That was very beautiful,
Very beautiful.
Very beautiful.
And it's all about there's wars, but there's a war between 2 religions, and each religion has 5 gods. That's why it's called Age of the Five.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And the gods interact with them, like the gods, they're like these beings of magic. But it's all about it's very questioning of it, like it's quite dark. I'm doing a terrible job of exploring it, but that's because I don't want to give anything away. But it's a book that really gripped me, and this series did me really well, because I remember in school I did a prepared reading competition from one of these books, and I scored in the top, like, oh god, I'm going to sound like such a twat. I scored really high and I got awards for it.
Percentile or something. Oh my god,
really high and I got an award for it, which got me like a white blazer at school, and like got me blazer. And I won like a trophy at school.
You get to wear that all the time at school?
Yeah.
Oh really?
Actually? Yeah. Well, you
everyone could see that you're better than them.
Yeah. You got like, it's called honours, because this again was in South Africa.
Okay.
You got honours, so like when it was assembly, you would wear your white blazer. So I guess there's like maybe a bit of achievement there, but I love these books because, and her as a writer for the earlier stuff, because again, there was so much around love and loss and discovery, and her books would bring me to tears. There's a beautiful romance that I think blossoms in this book, which is like, I would almost say enemies to lovers before enemies to lovers became a thing, because now it's everywhere as a trope, right? Like it's, which is good, but you can often see it coming from a mile away, where you get like this dark hero who like you can see will eventually become the love interest, you know? But with this one, it is very fraught and like very like not even an enemy, but like a questionable cat. I love it.
You don't want to give it away.
Well, I've given it away. But there's lots around around religion and questioning and like gods interacting with humans and like followers. War, you know, it's a classic fantasy tropes: magic, war, romance, all of that good stuff. And I discovered it when I was between the ages of like 13 and 16, and I've read these books so many times, and they are some of my favorite. One of my favorite series.
So they still have that resonance for you when you still read them today.
Yeah,
all of them.
Yeah.
That's
I really enjoy it. Yeah, I really enjoy them.
That's really cool. What do you think is in there, or perhaps when you were younger, when you first read them, what do you think it was in there that really particularly resonated with you, or that you were drawn to?
I think it's because I hadn't read anything like it before, and it felt very true to human behavior. Like it felt like there were very flawed people in here, and there were so many different characters, and you got to see different sides. So like you started out on the one side of this war with these characters, and as the books progressed, you got to see people who were on the other side of this war who had been painted as the enemy in the first book, and then you kind of start to understand them a lot. And when you're a kid, when you're like growing up, you know, when you're a kid, you have the goodies and the baddies. And I think for me it was kind of like, oh, you're starting to, you know, people believe they're good on both sides, and kind of unpacking the morality of that a little bit. And they're just fun. They were just good. They were different. Like there's people who can fly. There's people who are like sea creatures, and the gods. I mean, to spoil it, they're kind of bad. Do you know what? Like, and it's just going on that journey of starting out. You're following this main character who is quite devout, and she worships them and she serves them, to then realizing that perhaps they're not good, and what that does to the world.
Very interesting.
Which I adored. And there's love in there, and there's romance, and there's sex, which, you know, in a kid's book.
Outrageous.
In a kid's book.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
How can they allow this filth?
There's filth. This character, oh boy, she's actually an old woman.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's lived for like ages and ages, and then she turns us like, and then she has.
So it's kind of a loathly lady from Canterbury Tales, something nice.
And she's a very and Lance of the Wilds. The Wilds are like the people who the gods can't control. So it's all very.
Really cool. That does sound. I can imagine reading that at that age, particularly, and be like, "This is fucking."
Yeah, it was.
And just been quite excited by it. That's really cool. Well, that's a fantastic second choice, Maxine. It's on the rocket ship. It's in there.
Yes.
Actually, I meant to ask a question about that. So you may know that we have a rule that you're allowed to take one series.
Yeah.
Or you can.
So take the whole.
So that you take that. That's your series.
The trilogy.
I'd say the trilogy. Okay, fantastic.
So I had to choose between that one and her other trilogy that I love, but I've chosen.
That's the one. So it's called The Last of the Wilds
the
series.
Age of the Five.
Age of the Five. That's the series.
This is the second book. The last of it. It's Priestess of the Wild, Last of the Wilds, and the can't remember what the last one's called.
Yeah. Wow. It's on the
no, can't remember.
Yeah. Oh, well, you can take it. Whatever it's called.
Yeah, whatever it's called. You can look it up.
I mean, it's a reading podcast, so it's meant to empower people to explore. Yeah, we don't want to spoon feed these people.
I can't discover anymore. I'm in a fucking rocket ship.
Yeah, exactly. You're hemmed in.
Do I have internet
You're eating
access?
pellets. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think that would maybe defeat the point. Because someone might try. I think it might defeat the point. Because what's it called? The Project Gutenberg, where you can just read any old book you want.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I'm going to deny you internet access.
No, that's fair enough. I think that makes sense. That's a stupid question.
No, there are no stupid questions. We will move on to your third choice, Maxine. What do you do?
So, third choice. I've gone for Rebecca, Daphne du Maurier.
I thought you might pick that.
I know, it is predictable, but for a reason. No, but for a reason, do you know. But also, I think the reason Rebecca is special is because, as I mentioned earlier on the podcast, I hate old books.
Yes.
Like I really don't enjoy.
You did say that about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
So, she contains multitudes. But it's like I haven't read Pride and Prejudice. I tried to read Wuthering Heights, couldn't do it. Like I just can't fuck with them. So people kept saying, "Oh, you should read Rebecca," and I was like,
Yeah.
Okay. Also, firstly, beautiful cover for those who are watching at home. Look at it.
Yeah, very good. Judge the book by the cover. Yeah.
Love it. So, I'd heard about Rebecca and how you should read Rebecca, and I didn't believe it. But one day I saw this book with this pretty cover, and I was like, how can I not give this a go?
Yeah.
So I fully expected to, because I think it was written in the early 1900s, 1938, maybe. So I fully so not old, anyway. But I fully expected to hate it or to find it a cumbersome read or like a read that you have to work for, which is my least favourite type. I don't want to work when I'm reading a book. I want to enjoy the story. That's my view. I have never fallen in love so hard with a book in my life. I think it's beautifully, I think because it just caught me by surprise of how relatable I found it despite it being older. Like it's about this unnamed narrator who marries an older man, and then Rebecca is the ghost of his first wife. And I think it just taps into some psychological thing that I think young women in particular, from my experience, but like any person can maybe relate to, of being in someone's shadow in a relationship or in some sort of experience. And there's obviously the character of Mrs. Danvers, who is so... Oh, she's a woman. She's a woman. And it's gothic and it's dark and mysterious, and there's all these questions, and it feels so alive and modern. And gripping in a way I never expected to be gripped by a book that's this old, which sounds very like ageist of me, but it is so... I try to reread it once a year every autumn, because it is just so stunning and so well told and well written and so very human and pulsing and alive, in a way that I've not experienced with books pre-1950, which... And I don't know if I ever will.
Interesting. Yeah, so that's the only one for you that counts.
The only one that I've read.
Of like older fiction.
Yeah, the only one. Well,
really
I mean, I
resonates.
love The Great Gatsby as well. Like that just missed the list a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's something about Rebecca that is just, it's haunting. It's powerful. It does a lot with a very... Yeah. And I don't ever think there's been a film that does it justice either, because the relationship between the woman and Maxim, I saw a play adaptation once that actually boiled my blood.
Oh, really?
Because they portrayed it as romantic, and they portrayed like fully romantic. I don't think it is. I think if you read the book properly, you can see... being a diva.
No, I like it. Be a diva, yeah.
But I think it's, a very young woman and a much older man with money and power. There's always going to be an imbalance in power dynamic there, and there's always going to be an insecurity. And I think to portray it truly as... They portrayed Maxim as someone who really just loves her and having no ulterior motive. And the whole thing with Rebecca and how she died... Yeah, the play pissed me off.
Yeah.
I think the script was very poor. And I think the movies have done similarly, where they kind of erase the undertones between their relationship, which need to be explored, because that's what makes the book so good.
Yeah.
Like anyone, you can really see... Yeah, you can see so much in there. And I think to reduce it just to a happy love relationship is incorrect.
Yeah. I don't disagree with what you're saying about the film adaptations particularly. I mean, the only one I've seen is the Netflix one that was quite recent that I thought was a bit crap. The Army Hammer. I think he was in it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But there's part of me that wonders as well with books like Rebecca, and also, to be honest, The Great Gatsby, of can you do a proper film adaptation of a book like that? Is it just literature that can achieve that sort of... obviously we're on a book podcast, we want to advocate for literature, but it is the transcendent and unique thing about books, I think, of being able to craft something in that way. Whereas a film has to tell that story in 2-3 hours or whatever.
I agree. And also how people can have their own interpretations of the book, their own experiences of the book. Like I feel like in the movies often try to tell you maybe when they're doing film adaptations how you should be feeling. Like this is the director's or the screenwriter's interpretation of the book. I think with the book itself, there's more breathing room to have your own thoughts, perspectives, and it's just more time. It's a more personal experience, I think. But that's what, that's why films are great, because you can share it with people and you can all talk about the same thing. But with books, I think often it's more on you to have that space.
I agree with that completely. And I think it's like the uniquely beautiful thing about reading is it almost becomes a dialogue between the reader and the writer as you're creating it together, almost like you're reading that book in a different way to how I would read that book, or Joel or Jeff or whoever. You're imagining it in different ways and drawing different things to kind of populate the image.
I agree.
Which I think is a beautiful thing. And we have less of it these days, I think, because we have so many images shoved down our throats. We say as we're making a video podcast. But, it's about reading.
I hope you're watching.
That's fantastic choice, Maxine. So I think we'll get on to your penultimate choice.
Penultimate choice. I decided to choose a modern one. This was a very hard, I'm sure people have said this was a very hard thing to do, choosing 5 books, favourite books that have shaped you, because I've chosen a completely different 5 and would have still been happy with it.
So literally the person last week said the exact same thing.
Literally.
So tomorrow you'd make 5 different choices.
Exactly.
But,
so I decided to go with one that I've read more recently. I read it earlier this year, which was The Lamb by Lucy Rose, because I thought it was, I've never before read a book about something so awful that used such beautiful, amazing, evocative language. So this is a book, it's a very dark book. It's about Margot and her mother, and they live in the cottage, and they lure people into their cottage and they kill them and eat them.
Oh, wow. I did not know that's what that book is about.
I think you would probably, you might enjoy this.
You would love this.
You would love this.
All right. This is very you. Oh, okay.
But it's, they say it's a tender coming of age tale. So in this tender coming of age tale, Rose explores how women swallow their anger, desire, and animal instincts and wrings the mother-daughter relationship until blood drips from it. It is one of the most unique books I've ever read. It opens with, on my 4th birthday, I plucked 6 severed fingers from the shower drain.
Amazing. I'm in.
Yeah. And just her descriptions are: the tub yellowed near the plug hole, and there was a peachy hue up the curve of the bath. It was the same colour as my skin, milky and a little buttery like the outer edges of a bruise. Mildew and dried up water peppered the glass screen. Black mould had crawled up the plaster and between the grouts. The bathroom was small, and the dark corners harboured cobwebs, rings of damp, and hairline cracks. I wanted to lick the black speckles of mould littered along the wall.
Wow. Very visceral, isn't it?
It's very visceral, and it doesn't shy away from. It's not Stephen King, but that's why I think I like it, because I've read a lot of Stephen King for my sins. Growing up, I fell down a bit of a Stephen King rabbit hole for some reason. But this is I thought it was poetry in the way it describes these really dark. It's not trying to shock you. It's just giving it to you beautifully. Yeah. And obviously there's lots of, it's symbolic, there's so much you can read into it. I've never read a book like this in my life, and it's really stayed with me. I read it in January of this year, and I think I need to read it again. I think it's really, really beautiful, but really harrowing, but not too harrowing, but quite fucked up, which I think is a great review.
That's a good sweet spot. Not harrowing, but not too harrowing. Quite fucked up.
It's really.
I think they should have put that on the front, actually. Maybe in the next 3 issues.
But not too harrowing, just a bit fucked up.
Just a bit fucked up.
But the language is beautiful.
Yeah.
The way she tells this story is incredible. It is so stunning. But we are, we're talking about eating people, and that dichotomy of it as well, that friction, it's just so impactful, and I love it. I once wrote a dark folklore short story, because I love stuff like that, and this was, when you read a book and you're like, I wish I wrote this. It's this. She's amazing. She's really, really amazing. I love this book a lot.
Well, can you, because I've not read the book,
Mm.
can you tell me a bit more about like the mother-daughter aspect of it in terms of how does she portray that?
Oh, I mean,
Is that a key part of the book as
it's
well?
a key part.
Yeah.
That, I mean, like the relationship with her and her mother is really interesting because the mother's like isolated her child, and is quite protective of the child. But then the mother meets another woman is brought into the cottage, and that kind of I mean, that closeness and that friction and that breaking, and the hatred and it's so tangled up and it's so messy and it never unravels in the way you think it would. Because she's the mother is the one who, you know, does all this and is leading her daughter down the same path. And then eventually, obviously, it ends in a certain way and you have to, I won't spoil the ending, but it's quite hard. It's quite heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I've done a terrible job of answering that.
No. I'm just wondering, is there something in particular that resonates with you about the relationship between the daughter and the mother? Obviously, hopefully,
Well, my mum's not a cannibal.
Yeah. I was going to say, how did you bond with your mother? Was it kind of cannibalizing, passing?
No, I think any daughter would be able to see an element of their relationship with their mother in this somehow. Like, I think they can be quite complicated things, and they're wonderfully beautiful things, and they're also quite complicated. And I think this takes that complexity and amps it up to 5 billion. But you know, a daughter who wants to be like her mother, but then also rejects that at the same time. You know, it's a very nuanced thing. You know, when you're young, you look up to your mother and you just worship her. Well, you can do, and you see this in this book, and then that kind of questioning of maybe she's not that she's flawed. You know, she's got flaws, and I think you see that in this book a lot.
Yeah.
But then also the rejection by the mother to the child, like of her not being a certain way.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. I think this is...
Read it.
I added this to my list.
Yeah, you really should.
Fantastic. So that brings us on to your final choice, Maxine. So we've got The Lamb by Lucy Rose. That's your fourth choice. What is your fifth choice?
I really struggled because I wanted to bring a poetry book. As you know, being a poet, I wanted to bring a poetry collection.
Should be to be on brand, yeah.
But there were so many poetry collections, I kind of had a bit of a panic. But I went for this book, Indeterminate Inflorescence by Lee Song-bok, which was given to me by a poet, Bradley Taylor. Why did I say that's so funny?
The second time he's been mentioned on this podcast.
No way.
Yeah, I've never met Bradley. He sounds like a very lovely person. Yeah.
I don't want to be like everybody else. You need to cut that. Cut that. Anyway.
No, it shows it's a widespread influence. Charm,
widespread
literary
influence and
tastes.
charm. Good literary tastes. Oh, did someone mention his book on the podcast?
Not his book, but Sam mentioned he respects Bradley's taste immensely. So it's kind of similar.
Well, here we go. Here's an example of his taste. Indeterminate Inflorescence, which is notes from a poetry class by Lee Song-bok. And it's a really beautiful... Lee Song-bok is a poet from South Korea, and his work's only recently just started being translated into English. He's got a poetry book coming out later this year, I think.
Oh, cool.
Because I've not actually read any of his poetry yet, because I tried to read it before talking about his book. But so this isn't a book of poems, as it were, but it's a book of his things that he said from like creative writing lectures about poetry and life. These 470, how do you say, is it aphorisms?
Yeah, aphorisms.
Collected by his students are evocative micropoems in their own right. Some express ideas that are once familiar and breathtakingly new. And I loved it because, I mean, I couldn't think of what collection of poems to bring. I really struggled. But this just reminded me about poetry in itself, and all these wonderful things that he said about writing poetry, about what poetry is. And I think, you know, if I'm blasting off into space, I think it's helpful to have a reminder of something that I love so much, which, you know, is poetry. And I mean, number 278, a wounded pinky toe, that's poetry. Is it? Yes.
Maybe, yeah.
But he's got some beautiful, beautiful things. Like you said, that which cannot be translated or interpreted and yet can't be given up on either is poetry. That's why poems can be read again and again. Poetry writing is the illumination of truth by making oneself and others uncomfortable. Writing about other people well enough will allow your words to contain all of your own stories. Poetry is to speak of oneself by speaking of others, which I adore. Yeah. They've just got there's some lovely things in here which I think would offer me comfort while I'm on my rocket ship. About poetry and life and
Really
people.
soulless.
And yeah, also, you know, so I also feel like one of the most beautiful things about books is how they find you. Like, that's why I love Apocalypse and stuff like that. And I think when someone gives you a book, it just makes it extra special because it's someone going either, I think you'd like this, or, you know, I saw this and I thought of you, or I love this so much and I want you to experience that a bit too. Like, I want you to share your time. I'm trying to write a poem about it, actually, about
on giving books.
Well, about reading a book that's like giving someone a book. Like, the only thing, you know, time is such a limited resource.
Yeah.
And if you're asking someone or wanting someone to give up some of their time, or choosing to give up some of your time to read something that someone's giving you, it's like you're sharing that with them. And I think it's a way of being like close.
Yeah. Also incredibly awkward if they then hate it.
Yeah, so you've got to be, I'm quite careful with who I give books to or tell people to read things to, unless like I'm not super obsessed with the book, like unless it's just a casual recommendation.
Yeah, okay.
But I think sometimes when you give someone a book or tell someone to read a book, it is offering yourself up a bit on a platter.
Yeah.
If you go, I really love this, when you give it to them, and then, because I remember once I did a short-lived book club with a couple of friends, and we're not all friends anymore. If that's a bit of a spoiler, but like
explosive arguments about that. Really, wow.
And I remember one person recommended a book, and then we read the book, and one of the girls messaged me aside and was like, "So, what did you think of the book?" Like, as a loaded question, and I came back being like, "Let's talk about it at book club," and I could just tell she was being a bit judgy at this book that had been chosen, which made me a bit sad.
Yeah. What was the book? Do you feel comfortable saying what the book was?
It was. I can't remember. It was written by the people who did Game of Thrones, I think.
Oh.
It had a red cover.
What, by George R.R. Martin?
No,
it's by
the showrunners.
Oh, right, okay.
DB, no.
Yeah, David Benny, DB Weiss.
Yes. They wrote like, I think it was set in the war.
Yeah.
It had a red cover. Yeah. And it was an acceptable book, but like she was just being judged for her choice, which I think is quite a harsh thing to do. I think
so she asked you because she was feeling judged?
No, she asked because she wanted to judge the person who recommended it.
Right. Okay. All right, so we can judge her. We can judge her.
And we're not really friends anymore.
Oh,
so.
Fine. Yeah. No, she won't see this.
She won't see this.
She doesn't give it.
I was blocked on Instagram for ages.
Oh, shit. Okay.
No, I think Book Club probably added to that. So books can bring you together, and they can also rip you apart. So be careful.
Driving people apart. Yeah. Explosive arguments.
Yeah.
It's a provocative thing. Literary choice.
Literary choice.
And on that note, that's an incredible. I mean, it's almost like we prepared that before. We're going to move on to your choice, the sixth choice, which, fantastic 5 choices, the books that have formed you. But the sixth one is a book that you hate so much that you're going to put it into the void.
Yeah, I don't have a copy of it because
that's fine. That's fine. Well, we're going to start doing a ceremonial throwing. A book that I despise, and I thought about this not long and hard because I kind of knew which one it was going to be, but again, throwing shade on public podcasts, but I was literally like, no, this book was very bad. It was called The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. And it pissed me off. It's a fantasy book, and I thought it would be right up my street because it's dark academia. I think it involves like 6 people from different walks of life, different countries, who all come together and have to go study at this, like, it's got academia magic kind of vibe. So I'd be like, great, this will be a fun fantasy book to read. It is one of the most boring books I've ever read. The plot makes no sense. These 6 characters are from everywhere in the world, and all of their voices sounded exactly the same. Like, as you'd hop between each perspective, and I'm like, this is all exactly the same. But apparently they're super mega popular and viral sensations. And I think it's a series. And I've never been more disappointed, let down, angry,
frustrated, pissed off, annoyed. Like, it just wound me up, because I think the reason it pissed me off, there was so much potential. I think it had the potential to be, it felt like a first draft book. It felt like there was so much there that could be really good. There was enough intrigue, interesting characters, like all of this. It went nowhere, and it was not satisfying. And there's nothing I hate more than a fucking unsatisfying book. And I read it all, like, I should have not finished it. I should have DNF'd it, but a part of me was just holding out, being like, it can't be this bad. It can't be this bad. It can't be this bad. It was that bad. And I really wanted to find out what happens next, because I hate not knowing. Like, if there's a series, I hate not knowing. I couldn't do it. I couldn't subject myself to that. So because of all this anger, and this is the thing, I've read bad books, you read bad books, but this has unearthed like some sort of primal anger and frustration. It's coming.
I like it. I think it's good.
I'm getting a bit riled.
No, it's exactly. You're animated. You're passionate about how shit this book is.
It was just such a letdown, and I think that's the worst thing a book can be. Like if it just promised so much and had the potential to be so much, like I just want to hurl it into the void and scream, because it was so bad.
Well, I feel like this is quite a powerful exercise for you, then. It feels quite cathartic. You can throw it into space. Probably a detail I forgot to mention is that you have the power to then kind of consign it to obscurity forever. So you have the last remaining copy of the book. So by throwing it into the void, it will never be read again, never be spoken of, apart from the people back on Earth who remember it. So you've taken on great power there.
Good.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
You've consigned it to the void.
I think it needs to stay out of the void for a bit longer, so I can bitch about it for longer until I fully get out of my system.
That's circling Pluto. I don't really understand how gravity works. No. I'm sure it will just float off into the asteroid belt.
Something like that.
Yeah, wow, congrats. It's very therapeutic moment. So very exciting moment, actually. Moving on to your final choice, which is the book that you would choose to commit to the canon, because there's a danger in this rocket ship that's going to start breaking apart. You might not survive the journey. So you have one book you can put into a kind of canon on the outside of the rocket ship that humanity will be remembered for. So your choice is
Collected Works of Oscar Wilde. Couldn't be anything but. What a legend. What a man. I mean, this has got his short stories, got his poems, got some essays. It's got everything you need, I think, to kind of understand a bit of humanity. And he's funny as fuck. But he's also very tragic. So really, really good. He's got one of my favourite poems of his is in here. It's a very thick, for those of you listening to the audio, this is
going to be a great watch. Where we spend 20 minutes, we've got to find this poem.
It's over 1,000 pages, actually.
That is a great
It's got deep, it's got all of his.
So it's got the plays and Dorian Gray.
Got plays, and also fun fact about this book: it's not meant to be mine. It's because I only have this because I'm a petty bitch. Because this was given to me. Again, one thing I love about books is how they find you. This was given to me by a university friend who was moving back home, which was across the seas to Canada. And he gave this to me to give to my boyfriend at the time, to be like, oh, please pass this on to him because I think he'd like this. In the handful of days of me being given this book and meant to be giving it to my boyfriend, he broke up with me. So I was like, well,
claiming this
book's mine now.
Was this one that we're committing to the canon?
This is mine. And this,
I feel like Oscar Wilde would have approved of that.
I think so.
I don't know.
I also don't think he would have appreciated it like I do anyway.
Your ex-boyfriend.
Yeah. Like, I think, I think it was meant to be mine.
Yes. There's a bit of fate around that.
Yeah, so sorry ex-boyfriend for never getting this book. It's mine now and it will be forever.
That's a great choice, that.
But yeah, got some of my favourite poems in here, got all the plays. It's just beautiful. Beautiful. And I think it would be a wonderful thing to remember humanity by. I mean, this is from one of my favourite poems of his is from Panthea. I never know how to say things. Where it's like, have we not lips to kiss with, hearts to love, and eyes to see? Beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
Again, from the same poem, the joy who crowd into one finite pulse of time, the joy of infinite love and the fierce pain of infinite crime. It's a really beautiful poem. There's lots of other stuff.
I think that's a sort of underrated aspect of Oscar Wilde, I would say, of what I think of when I think of Oscar Wilde is like a real pithy wit, acerbic wit, but he's capable of such beautiful verse as well.
Romantic.
Yeah, proper aesthetic romantic.
And I like this. I'll do one more because I know we're a bit like the poem's very much about like we're all connected, which is something I feel while I'm floating in space, I think very important to remind myself of. It's like, had we never loved at all, who knows if yonder daffodil had lured the bee into its gilded womb, or any rose had hung with crimson lamp its little tree. Methinks no leaf would ever bud in spring, but for the lover's lips that kiss, the poet's lips that sing. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Love him.
I think this is going to inspire you writing space poems as well when you're in space, sailing further into the constellations.
Yeah. So
I'm going to misquote the famous quote where it's, or not all of us are in the gutter. Only
some of us are looking up at the stars.
It feels very appropriate.
Yeah.
This
is the thing. I feel like you could spend. I mean, this is over 1,000 pages. You know, this is going to keep me occupied in space for some time.
Yeah.
You could go through and read, find all these little pithy bits where they're from, and then all this beautiful poetry. And there's so much with Oscar Wilde. Like, I'm not an Oscar Wilde expert at all. Like, I just love what I know.
Yeah.
So I think there'd be plenty to discover and cry about and love.
I think it's a fantastic nomination for the canon. And it's the first time actually we've had a collected works, or what is it called, the complete works of Oscar Wilde.
Collected works.
Collected works.
Well, it says the complete plays, poems and stories.
Does that mean collected complete? I don't know.
Also, he's such a dapper dresser. Do you know what I mean?
He was dapper, wasn't he? I was looking at, I do kind of see, because I know Stephen Fry is a huge fan of Oscar Wilde. There was a particular picture I saw of Oscar Wilde yesterday where I was like, they look a bit similar.
They do look a bit
similar. They're like, because obviously Stephen Fry played Oscar Wilde in the film. I think it was in 1999 or something, but there was something about that there. The legacy of Oscar Wilde lives on today.
Has to.
But it's a fantastic nomination to the canon. I back that wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
I've been a bit uncertain about other people's nominations.
Oh, can't wait to see what they are.
That one is fantastic. So we've reached the end of your 7 choices, so all fantastic choices. One final question on your 5 books. If you were only allowed to take one, is there one you'd be able to pick?
I think I would take Indeterminate Inflorescence.
Lovely.
I think this would be the most comforting for me.
Brilliant.
You know, what it is, where it came from, it'd be lovely.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Maxine Meixner, for sharing with us your Rocket Ship Reads.
Thank you.
One final question before we close. There is a danger, as I've said, that this rocket ship might break apart.
Oh, God.
So you are able to send back one last message, one last transmission back to Earth. You can send it back to one person. You can send it back to everyone. Well, you can't send it back to everyone. You can send it back via your social media channels if you wish. You can send a letter to one specific person. What are you going to send to? Who are you going to send it to? What are you going to say?
Well, I'd probably put something. I mean, is it only one letter?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm sorry, we're bound by the format.
All right.
I don't make the rules.
Probably do a video message to multiple people then. What about close friends' Instagram story? Is that like
acceptable? Yeah.
Yeah.
Acceptable.
Just
You inexplicably get Wi-Fi again for this final message. Yeah. You get like 5 minutes of Wi-Fi.
Because I'd rather send letters, or a video message would not. I'd rather send tailored video messages, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just to comment on the specificity of what I would prefer to do.
Yes.
I'd rather send.
You don't have the option though.
No, I don't.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But I'm just letting you know what I would be doing.
Yeah, well, you're not allowed to do it. That's the whole point. I appreciate you saying that. But,
so I would send a general video message so people could look at my face one last time and hear my voice one last time, rather than a letter, even though I love letters and I think they're very important in neurodying art. Anyway, so I would say to my loved ones, Bitwy, I love you and I miss you. And when you enjoy the breeze, enjoy having the grass between your toes, because that's great and we don't do that enough. Look up at the stars and dream of me, because I'll always be dreaming of you. I'd be a bit sweet, I think. I'd probably say something, but I'd probably finish with something like enjoy having a regular shit. Do you know what I mean? Like enjoy the simple pleasures of having a piss or going to the toilet, because up in space I think you have to do quite a few. Enjoy the gravity of situations, you know. And also
beautiful.
when you're further away, you know, things seem smaller when you're further away. Enjoy the little things. I'd probably be annoyingly somewhat hot, you know, I'd be putting on a brave face and be like, I'm off on my mission, don't forget me. I
like it. I'm seeing it as the interstellar moment where Matthew McConaughey is like crying in the chair.
Oh yeah.
Because his children are now older than him.
Yeah.
That's how I'm viewing you.
Yeah, I'd probably try. I'd be like, I'd want to give them something good to remember me by. So maybe I would have written like a little poem. But also, if this is like casting a wide net, you know, like, so I'd be,
Yeah.
And then probably I crack a bad joke.
Yeah. Nice. A space pun.
Space pun, I'd just be like, sorry guys, just need a bit of space. And then
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a great way to sign out.
I just needed a bit of space. See you on the other side.
Yeah, beautiful. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's very good. Well, Maxine Meixner, a beautiful final last transmission back to Earth.
Thank you.
Been a delight hearing your rocket ship reads. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's really
It's been delightful chatting books.
Beautiful
with you,
venue.
Oh my God, Morocco Bound Bookshop. We should applaud Morocco Bound Bookshop.
Really
Oh my God, Morocco Bound.
to be seen.
Yeah. That is it for this episode of Rocket Ship Reads. Thank you very much for watching or listening. We'll be back very soon for another trip into space.